Okay, welcome to the third episode of Minh Tu Le Experience. Today we have three of our guests, and Sam we met before, and there's Ming, and then there's Bao. Can Ming and Bao introduce yourselves?
I'm Bảo. Uh, I'm work as a part-time filmmaker and full-time Đà Lạt right now.
Okay, and Bao, can you turn the camera like sideways?
Sideways? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And Ming, can you introduce a bit about yourself?
Okay, I'm Ming, and today we're gonna talk about meditation, right?
Yeah, mainly we're gonna talk about meditation because Ming, he used to be an owner of like float meditation tank services. Have you heard of that before, Sam?
Like sensory deprivation tanks.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And I had an experience in the tank, and that experience completely changed me. Like I was in there for about an hour, and I cried for about 30 minutes because all the trauma within me
Oh,
like just came out. Like everything just came out, and I'm so grateful for that experience. And so I gotta thank Ming for that because that experience like was really helpful for me. And I think then today we're not just gonna talk about meditation, but we're gonna talk about the meditative the meditative nature of how everything in life, like everything we do is meditating. Like when you're in the flow of talking, you're meditating. Like you get what I'm saying?
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. hmm How about Bao? What do you think about meditation? Like, what is your experience with meditating?
Mm, Meditation is like a way of life for me.
Uh huh. It's like a way of
Yeah,
life. Yeah.
yeah. I wake up with meditation, like kind of three different kinds of meditation. Like pooping meditation. When I poop, I meditate, and I take a cold shower. I also consider it meditation, and I do Wim Hof, and
Wim
then
Hof.
yeah,
Breathing.
and I take normal meditation, just sitting
Uh huh.
there and
Okay.
meditate. Don't think
Like
about nothing.
like not just like not just like you sitting down and meditating. That's not just that. Like meditating is a way of life. I completely agree
Yeah,
with you because especially because some of us in the stream today, we're going through some tough pain, like pain in life. And I think that meditation and being aware of our traumas and our suffering can ease with the pain. Like we are aware that we are in pain, and we are aware that our emotions. Like for instance, Sam, when you deal with your like pain in life, like for instance, when somebody close to you like is gone, like suddenly one day they're gone. How do you like how would you deal with that? Like how would you deal with your emotions like bundling up?
Hmm. You're throwing the tough questions at me to start, huh?
Well,
Yeah.
because that day is gonna come like eventually, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, yeah, it happens to everybody. Uh, at a certain point, like everyone like dealing with grief and loss. Um, it's hard to say. I don't know if there's any perfect way to deal with trauma. I think that meditation can certainly play a part in that,
Mm-hmm.
as well
Yeah.
as good communication, having a good social circle around you, like people who care about you, or At the very least, people who are willing to listen
Mm-hmm.
to what you're going through. Um, and a sense of compassion for yourself. And I think meditation can help build these things up. Maybe help people get maybe a little bit of distance from their emotions in some way. Not that you don't feel anything, but like having a little bit of outside space to maybe like consider these things rather than they're just the facts of what's going on. You have a chance of like maybe some metacognition, like thinking
Mm-hmm.
about why you're thinking a certain way, maybe.
Yeah, like it's like sometimes we try to distract ourselves from the pain, but sometimes you have to face it, and sometimes you have to think about other stuff because pain is it's a part of life. I mean, like you know, we deal with pain on a regular basis, and I think that you have to learn to live with it, and through meditating, when you meditate, like with every moment, you feel a little bit better because you are like not attached to the pain anymore. Like well, you still experience pain, like deep pain, you will
Of
still
course.
experience it, but when you have this sense of not attach non-attachment to that, and you realize that it's temporary, then that's when meditation really helps. um, and initially I just want to talk about meditation, but Ming is going through some stuff right now, so I want to talk more about pain, and Ming, if you don't mind, can you know give us your thoughts about like pain dealing and the suffering that of life.
Uh, well, I don't really know how to deal with pain. This
Oh shit.
So,
He just got disconnected.
wow, he
Okay.
got discon. Is he stuck?
He may be stuck in heaven. Look at its background.
Uh,
Holy shit, man! What the hell?
He's stuck in heaven.
He's in heaven now.
Yeah.
question is, he might be giving like the most profound response in the world to the question you just asked him, and then all of it
Yeah,
gets cut off.
yeah.
It comes back
And
and
then
he's
Okay.
like, "Yeah,
and
That's a
do
and
those
then
things."
he
that's
and
a
then
good
he
idea.
and then he
That's a
tu-
good
and then he turns it
perspective.
off.
So
It's very, very like very good answer, and then he just turns off.
maybe that's the answer.
Oh my god.
Forever a mystery.
Well, yeah.
I sorry, I
Oh,
just lost connect. It's the connection.
oh shit.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about how you gave the best answer to that question ever, and then you get disconnected. Like you don't know how to deal with pain, and then you just disappear. It was like holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so I was saying, I mean, I know how to deal with pain, but but never, but this the pain of this magnitude because this is the first time I lose something that I'm deeply attached to this much. That is sort of a part of my identity,
Uh huh.
and so it's really like shaking like earthquake magnitude, like to the core of my sense of self. And so I'm
Oh.
just letting it be, see how it goes. So I'm just I'm aware of the pain and try not to be too attached to it. I mean, people can like go mad from such pain. I've seen people or heard that people um, get into this vengeance mode. Like they try to find who's responsible for it, others, themselves, or the universe, and they go into this like very blaming mindset. So I try to not to be too attached to the pain, aware of it, observe it, and see like, where the pain can lead to. Uh, if I see myself going to these kind of negative mental states of blaming or losing motivation, I try to just step back a little bit, maybe distract myself a little bit with friends, activities, music, movies, give myself a little break, but then I don't try to escape from the pains. When I feel okay again, I go back to observing it, letting it run its course. But I don't think it, it will fade out or go away anytime soon. I mean, these kind of pains they kind of stick with you for the rest of your life. You gotta live with it. Um,
Like,
in this sense, with meditation, listen in the layman's life, I don't think it's gonna. It will help, but it will not help me deal with the pain uh, ho- in a wholesome way. Uh,
like,
like all the way. So it has to be like I think it has to be like really technical meditation to to come to a term with such pain.
you have to, like, a traumatic experience needs to have like an equal like traumatic experience to like deal with it. Like sometimes the trauma is too
No,
much.
I mean these kind of traumas that deal with the loss of things that you're deeply attached to. Part of your identity, such it's like parents losing children that they've been with for years, for a long time. Really drives
Hmm.
people mad, and so I think like really I need a really technical meditation, like uh, samadhi meditation, meta meditation, the whole combination, like what the Buddha teach
Hmm.
to really
Uh,
deal with that this kind of pain.
like um, I'm really saddened about what happened to Ming recently. Um, if you don't mind, then Ming, I'm gonna tell Sam about it, about what you experienced it, or do you want to keep it
Yeah,
private? Well,
yeah, you can tell. It's all right.
Ming recently lost um, his dog
Oh,
because the dog actually accidentally ate like something like is poisonous, and like how when you've been with this entity with this not a person but also an entity who you can share your emotions with, that you live with for years and years, and then one day they just pass away. It's like it just sucks. And like you know i've I've personally, luckily for me, I've never had someone who is really close to me who passed away, but I think about it all the time, every single day. I think about the day that my mother or my father died, and it I can't comprehend what Ming is going through right now. And
yeah.
I feel like this podcast is not just merely about meditation. It's about how we deal with pain. because Sam, like for instance, Sam, have you dealt with such a magnitude of pain before? Like that kind of loss that you will never recover, like that you feel like it's never going to recover, like ever.
Mm. Well, I mean, first of all, I just wanted to say, I'm sorry that happened, Ming. That really sucks. Um, yeah, it really
So
sucks to lose a pet. Um, I still remember my first dog, and yeah, I mean, he passed away when he was pretty older, but yeah, it was definitely a loss for all of us. Um, to answer your question too, though, I, I I don't know. I mean, I think like comparing like one kind of pain to another, in a lot of ways, I don't know. Maybe with physical pain it makes sense in some ways, but I don't know if it really means all that much to compare them because I mean we all process pain a different way, and different people or animals as well. Like they mean what they mean to us, and their loss like it's something that's so extreme, and it's also really hard to quantify. You know,
I understand. Like
it's hard to put like a
you
number on a
cannot
feeling.
measure pain, like but when we talk about like huge amount of pain, like just
Mm.
imagine, I like we cannot describe it or measure like which pain is more like painful, but
Mm.
we'll always know what we refer to when we talk about the deepest pain.
Yeah.
It is either
Yeah.
death or maybe a huge like breakup with someone. Only those two that comes to my mind. I don't know about any other pain, but those two that come to my mind. And
Yeah.
death is
Usually.
something you cannot avoid. Like death is part of
Mm.
life, you know.
Yeah.
You will you will lose your job. You will lose your parents eventually, or your
Mm.
parents will lose you. Either way, it's still painful. And
Yeah.
the more like you like the I'm sorry, the earlier you deal with that in life, like internally, then when it finally happens, then it might be eases the pain a little bit.
yeah. Also, talking about the comparing pains, I have a few insights from observing pain. I mean, I went through a few loss in life. In during my younger years, I lost my brother. My brother uh, died 2 years old, I think 2 or 3 years old. But he was, but we didn't. He was born with disabilities, and so even though I spent a lot of time with him, but we didn't have a lot of memories together because he was always like just a baby, just lying there. I mean, we communicated a little bit. He didn't know. He couldn't speak. He couldn't respond to anything much at all. And so, even though I love him, but we didn't share much memories. And so that when we lost him, uh, it only lasted. The pain only lasted for a week. And then later on, I lost my uncle.
Hmm.
Pain lasted for one day, maybe half a day. Again, because we had memories, but it was from my childhood. Not any recent memories up to his death. And later on, um, I lost a cat. Uh, sh- we had so much memories. I was so proud of her. I raised her like a dog, and she really was a dog. And I was very proud of her. Took her everywhere. It's very different from other cats that stay at home. She was really up to go everywhere with my dogs as well. So when she went away, um, I grieved for for a month. But it was, but I always believed that she just, went somewhere better. She's still alive, so it's not like didn't feel like a permanent loss. I mean, so lasted a month. Mostly the pain was just about me waiting for her to come back, and then when I came to terms with the fact that she's not coming back, then it was okay. But now this time is a permanent loss. I mean that means there's not gonna be any possibility of seeing my dog again. And I spent so much time with Susu, with my dog, 10 years, and she always went with me everywhere, anywhere, anytime I go to the outdoor. She went with me, well, basically went with me everywhere, and she was part of my identity. Like people always see me with her, and uh, yeah. So to the level of attachment to something and the amount of memories you have with something and the kind of loss, yeah. Uh, and again, my brother, he was sure to pass away at a young age. My uncle, he was sick. He got cancer. So he was also sure to pass away. So all these kind of loss I had before was like somehow came to terms with it beforehand, and the level of attachment was not 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 much. So it was very easy to deal with the pain, and the pain just went away after a while. But this time is uh, a permanent loss of something I'm deeply attached to. The attachment's been building up for years and years through a lot of experiences. So I think the more attached you are to something, the more pain it's gonna cause when you lose it.
Yeah.
And the
And
process of dealing with pain, actually, I kind of knew how to deal with it in a way because I read a lot of spiritual doctrines and philosophies. So I'm well versed in Advaita uh, Vedic philosophies, as in the transform. Death is a transformation. Nothing is really ever lost. Things just come back to the universe and become something else. All that stuff. Um, but so like on day three, I look at a flower. I realize such beautiful flower can very well wither tomorrow, even if how much I care for it. I appreciate its beauty, and the pain just gone away. I actually felt bliss and happy on day two. But I kind of realize it's such spiritual philosophy. It's very comforting, and it's very positive and comforting. I can very much use it to absorb into it to ease the pain right now, but I actually don't choose not to, um, because then if I choose to comfort myself with such philosophies, oh, next week the memory of Susu just fades away just like that. And so and doesn't really lead me to do something of higher um, purpose in life. So I choose to just remain with the pain that with the fact that she's gone, something I love is gone. I choose to remain with that thought and just observe where it leads me.
I see. Um, It's like you just have to accept with the fact that she's gone, and she's never gonna go back. Like acceptance of the of of not seeing her ever again. That's
Yeah,
acceptance. Like I can
I mean,
totally understand.
I accept that, and
Mhm.
but I choose to stay with that thought, and not
Mhm.
go to these comforting spiritual philosophies like taking a hang or Vedic philosophies of the cycle of life.
Why? Why you choose that?
Because this is what everyone does, everyone do it. Everyone does it, and you can see it widespread in movies and quotes and everything. And so everyone just move on so easily. And I want this pain this grief to be a motivation for me to do something higher purpose, like going to renounce and be a monk.
Be a monk.
Are you thinking of doing that?
Ah, yes, I thought about that for a long time,
Hmm.
and I actually, like the Buddha taught, when there's enough pain, then this will be enough motivation to go forth. So this is why I choose to stay with the pain, let it blossom in a way and lead me to something of higher purpose.
Like you dive deep into the pain until maybe it will vanish. Maybe not expect it to vanish at all. Like just go inside the pain and go deep inside it as much as you can. Not distracting yourself anymore. Like just let the pain like grow, and maybe it will grow to the point that the pain will become something else. It will transform you into a different person, a different with a different mindset. Like like yeah, I kind of understand in a way what you're trying to do. Maybe you will become a monk for a while, and then the cycle continues.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're saying. So I want the pain to be transformative. I don't want to comfort myself away from the pain.
I see. I understand. Um, Bao, how do you deal with pain in general? Like, like in life, do you like how did you deal with pain? What do you do
Mm,
when something bad happens to you, like really bad happens to you?
uh, I still remember a quote, and I live by that quote. Is pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. So I consider pain is like a part of my life. Everything I did, I pushed myself to the limit, to the most pain. So it's kind of like, yeah, something like that. But psychological pain is something kind of different because it has like many layer and level to it. Like Susu, that is like one of the most recent pain that I uh, experienced. And but I still remember Susu, and I still feel pain that way. But I choose to like go through with the pain, and that's just I feel that's just all my pain can handle. and I must do my work, continue with my work like that.
I heard that quote, like pain is, life is always in pain, but suffering is optional. But I don't think it's
Yeah,
quite true, because sometimes we have to suffer. Like it's not optional at all. Sometimes suffering is not optional. We still suffer every day. Like you don't get enough money, you don't get shelter, food, you suffer. It's not optional. Like the physical aspect and the mental one, you might be like, well, I'm not attached to this or that, but in a way, you still suffer physically.
yeah, but it's a choice, you know, because you lack of food or money and you want to be that way. It's your choice. You want to get
Well,
out of it.
some well, we want to get
It's
out of
still
it,
your
but
choice.
during when you are in the, like, experiencing that, like when you have no choice. Like what if the government takes all your houses away? Like some, or when your boss turns out to be, like a scammer, and then they don't pay you, then you will suffer during that point. And you
Yeah,
might not be attached to that, but you still suffer for maybe a brief period. You still suffer, and there's still pain that you cannot
yeah.
avoid that.
Suffer,
Yeah.
suffer and pain is always there, you know. But you can choose pain because pain is like always been there. But suffer, it's like it's happened to you once, and if happen again, you can choose either to be pain or suffer. You know, you already have your lesson. So yeah, it's your attitude toward the issue, and you can
Uh,
choose this. That is the part of meditation. You know, it's the ability to see the truth in the mind toward the issue.
how about you, Sam? Do you think that suffering is optional,
Hmm.
or is, something that's inevitable?
Well, I've heard that, and yeah, maybe bringing it back to meditation a little bit, is that a lot of this comes like suffering, like pain is like the initial thing that's happening to you. So maybe pain would be the not having money, the um, being hungry or homeless, or just something bad happening to you in that moment. And suffering is maybe when we intellectualize it, and we project it into the past and the future, and we dwell on these things. Whereas what I've heard, I can't remember who said it, was that in the present moment there may be pain, but there is no suffering. If you're just focusing on like what's happening to you in that one moment, maybe that isn't suffering. Maybe it's just, I mean, you might be going through something that's really bad in that one moment, but it's not also like the mental torture that we can often put ourselves through, which I think to a certain point can be a choice. I mean, people, and I don't know, we've probably all done this. You can kind of like, sometimes when things happen, there's a tendency for people to kind of wallow in them, to wallow in the pain or whatever it is, or to draw something out longer than it actually needs to go. So in every case, but I think that it can be.
Hmm. So it can be a choice. Is what you're saying. Like, it can be, you can make it more painful or less painful depending on your mindset, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
I think like we might have some influence over these things. I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, if you're homeless and starving, you're probably not going to be doing great mentally as well. But I think that we do have like maybe some wiggle room over our own psychology or how we deal with these things. And you know, like I said, meditation I think in one way is one of the things that can help with that.
Okay. The
Yeah,
other, the one of the philosophy that hold back like that quote is stoicism. You know, like everything is controllable in yourself. So everything is like you will suffer that, but you will control your attitude, control your emotion. So, do you want to suffer more of that? Do you want to suffer more about your boss is like scamming you, or do you want to suffer more about don't having money and you just staying there and crying, 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 and you choose to cry the next day? It's your choice. But when you choose to get up and stop crying, and it's still you, that is
I
the
think
choice, you know.
I think it's about a balance because when you suffer and you cry, then it's really a healthy way of coping with stuff. But if you dwell into the pain too much, then it might become a habit of focusing on the pain too much. But if you focus that energy, like transform it, as Ming said, like transform it into something else, then you use that fuel to become a better person, like a way more powerful, way more cheerful person. Like through the pain, you will become kinder to people because you don't want people to suffer because you've been through suffering, and the more pain you feel, the more you are close to being kind to other people. That's what I think. There's a
Yeah,
quote by there's a quote by John Lennon that I think that resonates with a lot of people who said that God is a concept by which we measure our pain. So basically, the more pain that we have, the more we are closer to God, or in other words, the more that we feel like we want to be closer to God. Like to be more kind as a person, to be improve as a person through pain. Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah. How about you, Sam? What's your like? Um, do you think that the more we suffer, the more that we are kinder to another? Like, is the fuel to make us, you know, be more kinder person?
I don't know. It seems like it depends. It depends a lot on the individual person and how they interpret their suffering. Um, I mean, there's different ways you can do that. I mean, there's a way that you basically broaden it out to the point where, okay, we're all linked together, as people. Like, we all exist in this world, and we all have to go through a lot of bad things in life. I mean, no matter who you are, even if you're like very, very wealthy, you're still going to experience loss and pain in your life. It's pretty much unavoidable. Um, so that you can take that to having this like kind of universal empathy for other people and to understand that, okay, they're going through a lot of suffering too. So even if, say, I don't know, somebody cuts you off in traffic, or they're rude to you at work, or whatever it might be, you can gain kind of an empathy for them. It's like, okay, they're probably suffering, and that's why they're acting like that. Um, there's the other path you can take, I think, where, and you see a lot of people do this as well. They've suffered, so now they've got to pass that on to somebody else, or they've experienced some sort of pain in their life, and they use it as an excuse to be cold or even cruel, maybe to others. Um, yeah, it seems a lot to just depend on the individual person, I think.
Yeah, like for example, like the movie Taxi Driver or Joker, like he
Mm.
uses the pain that he experiences to become a worse person, like to harm others. And some people take it the films like unironically, and they think that they will become like Joker by like following his example. But truthfully, the like we should always strive to be a better person, whether how much our pain is. Like people who like some people in history are assholes because they said that they've been through a lot of pain, but I don't think that's an excuse because you know we can choose to be a good person or a bad person, and I would choose to follow God. If I had a choice, I would follow God.
Mm.
And God, you can call God or the universe or I don't know any label that we choose. If you're not into like Christianity, but I choose to do good, and maybe you're an atheist, you don't believe in God, but even an atheist would understand that causing suffering to others is not a very productive or a very logical thing to do. So I feel like everything that we do in life, the pain, the experiences, are chances to for us to learn about ourselves and then to grow as people.
Mm.
But like so much character development, like so much pain that we have to go through, you know. Sometimes it's hard to, for some of us to, deal with it. Like,
Personally, I believe in Ming's cat.
hmm
Just been keeping one eye on it throughout the podcast. Looks adorable. What's the cat's name?
Salt.
Salt? Moy?
His name's Salt.
Moy,
Yeah, yeah,
Moy.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, hi Moy.
Well, Moy's still here. Moy's still here, and
I wonder what Moy thinks about suffering.
yeah, I wonder.
I don't think he suffers. I mean, I think he knows pain, but I don't think he suffers. Yeah, I think suffering is it's an advanced mental function that's exists in primates, I guess, in higher evolved species. It is um, it is to it is to add another layer to the pain and sort of gives you the ability to think more about the pain, so that you don't ex- you want to experience such pain again. I guess it has a evolutionary advantage.
I see. Like we
That's
gain
what I think.
we have intelligence and we attach too much. So like animals, they don't think much about pain. They're just experiencing stuff. So they don't get attached to it. Like they live in the present moment like most of the time. Like just look at a cat's eye. Like all the time, you look at a cat's eye or a dog's eyes, and then you see them like they're just being present. Maybe they're hungry, they want something, but they still live in the present. And I feel like humans suffer more because we think so much, we label too much, we think about like whether to eat or what to eat, and money and civilization. But that's a whole different topic. But what the point I'm trying to make is that like human beings, I feel like, are suffering more than animals in a way because we think too much of our sufferings and we philosophize too much. Maybe maybe animals, they they feel sadness and then they after 2 or 3 days and then they go on with their lives. But human beings, like we keep our memories in our hearts. Like me personally, if I were to lose a close friend of mine or my parents, I would cry every single day for the rest of my life. Like, to let it all out. To, because I had so many memories with them. I feel like they are a part of myself that I will never recover back. But, to animals, it's a different story. So I don't know.
Yeah, I
I've
think
heard that
despite I, Sammy go.
I've heard in some cases. I guess it depends on the animal, but like I've heard of dogs, for instance, like holding like the loss of their owner, the human that they knew really well for a very long time. I think there was a man in Japan. Like this dog would always meet him at like a railway station, like as he
Oh,
was coming home
Hachi,
from
right?
work.
Hachi, Hachi.
Yeah, I think so. And like he would come back for like years and years and years, just waiting for him to
Yeah,
come back.
I just
So this is just at least dogs. Maybe I think they have that kind of connection with people.
yeah, me and Bin just watched an Myanmar version of Hachi, and it's even deal with like Buddhism in it. Like a monk just keep like very attachment to a dog. That's even though he like understanding the Buddhism philosophy like very much, but the only thing that keeping him is a dog, and eventually he died. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying my point is animals they do feel pain, but then they react to pain in a way. Maybe a cat wouldn't feel the suffering the later part, but a dog may suffer, and a dog may grieve. Um, an ape might go for revenge. So the higher evolved species know how to suffer, and they know as in they suffering is a reaction to pain. So they react to the pain, like the dog they would grieve for the rest of their life, uh, in a way that they would just wait for the owner to come back. The ape, the uneducated human would take revenge or do find ways to bring back what's lost. You can see that in like how it's very hard for people giving letting go of people of people dying. They would try any way possible to bring back the dead. In Buddhist scripture, there was a story of a mother going mad, and she would go around and ask all the priests, the doctors to bring her dead son back, which is impossible. But then, as human, we have the ability to observe this reaction and think about it, and that's what I think. What meditation is. Not only you observe and be in the moment, but you could choose how to react in a wiser way, um, to accept the loss, and uh, but it's not easy. The choice is not easy to make for the choice is only possible for the trained mind. It's this suffering habit has been a like a hardwired habit into our brains, our minds as a species. It's during evolution, And so to really come to terms and accept pains of a larger magnitude, I think yeah, meditation is the way, but it has to like be really extensive, rigorous training, like in monastery to so that the to change the habit completely, to accept completely, to really transform.
Like to transform, that is takes a practice for years, maybe like lifetimes, to like practice that kind of dealing with pain. I feel
Yeah,
like some people
because
are, yeah, yeah, some people they
because I
are
see a lot of people, even though they meditate a lot, they are very well versed in uh, spiritual training. So they still suffer from time to time where they lose things, um, relatives. But I seen uh, monks just they're just very indifferent to loss. So they lost them and they just accepted s- with a very tranquil mind. So you don't see any sort of grief reaction at all.
mhm. Like they are just they train to the point that they have no reaction to the pain. Like they just go through
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So that's to me is the definition of like really coming to terms with the cycle of life, with the facts of life that death and pain is inevitable.
Sometimes I feel like life is nothing but a string of sufferings. I mean, I'm being a little bit negative here, but um, in I think in Buddhism it's called dukkha. Dukkha
Yeah.
is like a deeper term for suffering. That I think suffering only touches like a little bit upon that, but suffering. Oh, we will use dukkha instead. When you get what you want and then you lose it and then you feel attached to it, that's dukkha. And when you experience pain, obviously you get that's dukkha. So basically, everything in life is impermanent, and this impermanence is basically, you know, a way of the universe telling you that everything is suffering, and I've come to accept that, uh, maybe, but it still feels, you know, I still feel struggle on a daily basis to I mean I'm being more positive every day, helping others, but at the end of the day, we're just vessels, we're just human beings, and we're gonna die. We're
Yeah.
gonna leave our marks on the universe. We're gonna do podcasts. We're gonna do rapping music. We're gonna paint, dance, write. I'm a writer myself, but I often think about like what I write in about 10 years. Who's gonna remember what I wrote down? What we do here, like in 20 years, who's gonna remember our podcast? Who's gonna remember all of this? Or when we pass away, 50 years from now, who's gonna remember us?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like it's all impermanent. We're
So
all gonna we're all on this train that is gonna stop. We're gonna die, and then a new generation comes, and the cycle continues, and it's just like that.
could I well, as to life being like this, string of suffering, I guess I feel that like pretty much every like deep form of suffering comes from some sort of a loss, right? obviously it can be the death of a loved one, it could be the loss of a job, it could be the loss of, I don't know, some good other kind of situation, or the loss of our own health or something like that. So I guess that suggests to me that if you're feeling lost and if you're feeling suffering, there must have been something good that it causes this pain of loss by not being there, right?
Mm-hmm.
That if life was just like endless suffering, would it even be suffering at that point? If everything was just bad, I mean, there wouldn't be a feeling of loss. It's all kind of
Yeah,
the same, right?
yeah, it's pleasure and suffering at the same time. But because when we experience pleasure, then we must suffer. So it's all like duality. So you have pleasure, and then everything must come down. Like let's say when you do like a psychedelics, or like a very euphoric drug, or you drink alcohol a lot, and it takes the pain away for a while. Then the next day you get hangover. So that's the kind of thing that we talk about here. Everything is still suffering at the end of the day. Even when you get the raise, the money that you want, then you're gonna worry about the money, like how you're gonna spend it, how you're gonna protect it from other people. Then more money, more problems. I'm not saying that having more money is not is not an advantage compared to having like no money at all. But basically, if suffering is inevitable, even when you have pleasure.
So on this point, I would s- I would say that suffering not only comes from separation of something you love, separating from pleasurable objects. It also comes from meeting uh, with uh, unpleasant objects. As in you encounter misfortune, for example, or even the basic thing is as you experience disease. Such physical pain can cause suffering as well.
Yeah.
You taste something that you don't like, but it's the only thing you can eat, for example, and that's you suffer a little bit there. This is what's been said by the Buddha, and I was let me read you this verse. Um, so the flow of tears you shed while roaming and transmigrating is in like rebirth in the samsara cycle. The flow of tears you shed while roaming and transmigrating is indeed more than the waters in the four oceans. For a long time, you undergone the death of a mother, father, brother, sister, son, relatives, lots of wealth, lost through illness, from being united with the unpleasant and separated from the pleasant. The flow of tears you shed while roaming and transmigrating in the endless death and rebirth cycles is indeed more than the water in the four oceans.
Wow.
And and the way memory works is that eh, the painful experience usually leave a heavier marks on your memory than the happy one. And so you can see is so it's easier is it's just more feasible to see this from this perspective that these habits are very fleeting and the pain suffering are more persistent. if you look at your memories, how you remember things, usually you remember the pains a lot, and it's barely the happy moments. The happy moments are live in the present moments.
I see. I mean, sometimes happiness is temporary too. So I don't think I would strive for happiness either. I would strive for balance between happiness and sadness, because sometimes I enjoy sadness. Sometimes I feel like um, when I'm sad, I can feel my emotions way more than just totally being numb. Like when you're so much in pain that you cannot even cry, or you cannot even like express your emotions. I think that's pain at the most absolute level. Like crying is a very good way of expressing your your ways of saying that I'm sad, and I this is sadness, this is pain. Like after watching a very sad movies like Grave of the Fireflies, or something, some saddest movies ever, and then you cry and cry a lot, and then it it feels relieving to cry. But if you're unable to cry, then it might be even worse.
Yeah, but if you look a closer look at Buddhism and the story of Buddha, you can see that his enlightenment is based on pain and suffering, because that is the way he choosing, he choose to experience, he choose and experience bring pain, and the pain causing suffering, and that's the circle, and he chooses, he even choose the most suffering thing he can choose, that is like fasting for himself, like for 48, 49 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like the extreme suffering, but through that suffering he come to enlightenment, and that is
Yeah,
when he see that suffering is a choice, and it's all by ourselves. When we overthinking, we always live in the moment, or we always remember the past, we always attach something to ourselves, and the ego always like controlling us. That is the suffering, and that suffering bring pain. When you want some money, you're expecting something, and it's not happen the way you want it to be, you will suffer, and that bring pain. That is
yeah,
the
I
way
totally
Buddhism
agree.
look at it. Yeah. So it's a one way. So meditation is on the Buddhism philosophy. It's just training the mind, training the mind, training the mind. Remember it and facing it directly. I remember a quote that meditation is not um, cut ourselves from suffering and pain, but meditation is facing the pain and suffering exactly and um, precisely. Look at it from face to face and deal with it. When you deal with it, you know how it happened, you know why it happened, it's why the root of suffering that bring, and it's bring understanding. When you understand, you end the suffering.
Yeah. Well, I think I think we're coming to towards the end of the podcast, and to sum it up, well, firstly, I'd like to thank all of you guys for coming to my podcast today, especially Ming, because I know you're dealing with very hard stuff right now, and you still, took your precious time to come here with us, and I very thank you for that. And I hope that after this podcast, and the audience too, we hope that we've, you know, brought you guys something to, think about, to know how to deal with pain, to go through all the suffering, and to define what suffering really means. Because most people these days, especially my generation, they don't know how to deal with pain at all. And I hope that this message, will, what we discussed today will have relevancy in, in a longer future when people like watch our podcast. So I think this is the end of podcast, and goodbye. Thank you guys so much. So, well, I just end the recording. Thank you guys once again. And if Ming, you ever had the chance to go to Hanoi, Sam and Ming, you guys can, or Bao, we can all have coffee together, like four of us. That would be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I think it's easier for Sam to go to Dalat.
Yeah, Sam wants to go to Dalat, like he really wants to.
Yeah, I love the mountains. Beautiful area.
You went there like once, right?
Yeah, 2019. I actually went there and meditated a bit. I went to Chuklam Monastery.
Oh, that's like
Yeah, really
one of the
beautiful.
best like meditation practice in Vietnamese.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Did you go for long day meditation or stuff?
Um, I think when I was there, they passed some new rule where, like, if you wanted to meditate there, you can't spend the night. So I stayed at a hotel that was very close. Actually, this like little B&B called the Lake House, and just went there for a few days and just meditated on and off.
Like you just do regular meditation. Like how often did you meditate back then?
Probably more than I do now. I kind of go on and off with it. Like there's times when I am a lot more focused and I meditate a lot more, and I think I feel better when I'm doing that. I haven't been